In this video, now that we have the muslin fitter that we sewn up in the last video, we can do the fitting. And what I like to do before I do any fittings is I take my scissors and I snip around the Armscye right into the seam allowance, just a little bit so that it lays flat and we stay within the seam allowance. And snip the center front, snip all the way around in the Armscye. That way it lays flat. We have a better understanding of our fit. So the first thing we want to do is pin the back closed. So we follow our lines that we drew on the muslin when we were ironing. You can see our lines, and we fold on the line and put it on top, and I put my ruler in the back, in the center back, keeping my center back line so that I can see it lined up in perfect order. There's our back pinned. Now we want to make sure that our back here, this seam, lines up with our center back. You can feel it on your body. And this fitting is not complicated because we're only interested in the areas that we're going to use in drafting our swimsuit template. Now let me remind you that this class is about swimsuit pattern making. And I have re-engineered the standard process of drafting a bodice, which means that the bust dart is first developed from the midriff down to the waist. And then that dart, in order for it to be on the side seam or anywhere on the front bodice, it will need to be transferred. And there's 6 different areas that you can transfer the bust dart from this position to the side bust. But since we're only making a swimsuit, we don't need all of those steps. In this class, you're going to learn to make a swimsuit in less than a day. We're only interested in the areas that we're going to use on our swimsuit template. We need the depth of cup. We need the depth of bust. We need the apex. We need the side bust here. We need the cleavage point. We need the above bust. And these other darts and these other measurements, they're actually going to go away. Because when you make a swimsuit, you fold the pattern out according to the stretch value of the fabric. And in another video, I'm going to show you stretch factorization and folding for stretch. And we need to know where our waistline is, which is where our belly button's going to be. So if you can, during the fitting on your body, go ahead and make a dot where your belly button is. So we want to know where that is specifically, because we want to design, if we're going to do a one piece or a bikini or anything else that you will want to show the belly button or not, we need to know where it is. We made our apex marks, and we can see that they're lined up where it's supposed to be, our center front, and we make sure that that fits. What we want to do is come to our side seam here, and if you remember all that extra that I had on my side seam, as I mentioned, I was going to pull it out. So here it is. I'm taking it right out. I'm just going to pinch that out. I'm going to put a pin right at the pinch mark, and I'm going to go down to the waist, and I'm going to squeeze the side seam, and we're pinching this out, and we have our center front. Now our apex is here, Right here, it's lined up. It's lined up there. We want our center front above bust. We want that flat. And then it goes up to the shoulder seam at the nape of the neck, and it looks like it's laying flat. And that's okay with me. Now, this here, we're going to use the center of our back. If you find the center of your back, from the center back over to your side seam on your back, you want to find the center. On the dress form, it has a line. It already has a center mark. So I'm going to mark that. We want to know that. That's going to be important because when we take our swimsuit measurement, we're going to measure down from the center of our back waist down to our buttocks where the crease meets the leg. We need to establish the center back of this bodice piece right now. And then we have our side seam. We're pulling out that bit, and I'm just going to put a mark right there where it is, and we'll put a mark right there where my pin is. We know that our Armscye is 1.5 inches below the armpit. So if we take our ruler and we go here, it should be the same. This is our Armscye point. We need to know where that is and mark it on you. But in this point right here, I'm going to take, here's my marks. These marks are going to become your stitching line. This is your new stitching line. And when we make the adjustment on the pattern, we're going to remove the seam allowance. So all of these lines, your stitching line, becomes your raw edge, and we're going to design our swimsuits from our raw edge, and then we're going to add seam allowance after we design. But for now, we're going to mark them off. We're going to follow our Armscye point, and we're just going to make our little marks all the way up. And you can see that we're following the Armscye, and you want it to be comfortable. So on your body, you're going to make these marks. I'm following the contour of my shoulder seam all the way up here, and then I'm going to make a mark right there at my shoulder. And this, I'm going to take this in on my pattern, but it's going up to the nape of the neck, so it's going to 0. And in the industry, it's called to nothing. So looks like we have our side seam adjusted. We know where our Armscye is. And then we're going to go in the back, same amount there. We have our center back. We're going to put that on the pattern, and then this is our other point on top, and that looks fine. We're not going to be concerned with the shoulder dart because it's going to disappear. But we just want to make sure that this back bodice fits snugly. We want our bust dart to be snug. So if we want to pull on the bust dart and give it just a little bit of an adjustment, we can do that. In this case, my bust dart is a little fat. And so I'm going to pinch it out a little bit so that we can adjust it. I'm going to put a pin there, and I'm going to mark right here. And then I'll show you how to adjust it on the pattern. And this bubble here, I'm not real happy with. We're going to shorten this bust dart to here because we want this to lay flat. And then because when I open this up a bit, this a little amount is going to lay flat on the pattern. And we'll essentially be making the bust art just a little bigger. Here's our critical parts that are important that we want to mark on our pattern. We want to do the depth of cup, which is from our apex point down to where the crease of the bust touches the midriff. We want to mark that, and we want to mark where the apex goes to the side crease, where the bust crease hits the midriff there. We want to put a mark there. And now we're going to decide where our above bust is going to be. What kind of coverage we're going to have on this swimsuit. This is our above bust area. From our apex up to here, it's usually 2.5, 3.5 inches, depending on the cup size of the bust. And then over to here, to the center front, we have our cleavage point. And again, the crease of the bust should fall just before the center front. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it goes further or not, and you'll see it on your body. We want to mark that. This is the time you could actually start to design any suit that you wish. I mean, from here, we know that if we made, say, a bikini, we would come here, here, and over to here, and this would be what we call a sweetheart. And then if we were to make a bandeau, we would come across here into our back, and we would know that our back is going to support that. If we wanted to make a bandeau top, and there is our back band right there. If we wanted to make an underwire bra or top, such as, we know that our depth of cup is right here, so anything there is going to be supported because we're already designing our swimsuit in the fitting. All of our patterns are going to be made on the half. So this side, this one side that we're working on, is going to be the pattern side, and we're going to adjust the pattern according to anything that we mark on this side. In the next video, we're going to adjust our pattern based on all the marks that we made on the fitter, and we're going to use that pattern to draft our swimsuit template so that we can use that template to design all of our swimsuits that we want to make. And then we're going to design a swimsuit. See you in the next video.